Hello and welcome back to Grandma's house. I'm glad that you popped in today to see what I'm going to create. What I'm going to do today, because I am definitely a little technically challenged, I always need a grocery list. I do have a Google Home thing that I could just tell her to put it on my grocery list and then sync my phone to Alexa. But you know what? I am definitely challenged when it comes to technology. So although I do have that, I prefer to have a piece of paper and a pen to make my list. It's just a 1x6 that I got from my stash. I actually made a sign with some of it. So you're going to need a piece of wood, a dowel, and I have a couple magnets to put on the back of it because I'm going to be putting this onto my fridge, and a few nuts and bolts, and a paper clip. Now these are all very easy to find, like at Staples, any hardware store would have it. And then I am going to put it onto this paper roll that is actually meant for my adding machine, but I'm going to use it for my grocery list. So let's get started, and I'll show you how to do this. Very simple, and I think it's an absolute necessity for anyone that does not tell Alexa to put things on the grocery list. To start with, I am going to cut my piece of wood any size that you want. I'm going to make it probably about 8 inches, I think. It doesn't really matter how, yeah, I'll probably make it about 8 inches long. And then I will cut my dowel the same width as my block. So I'll cut my dowel to about 5 inches and my piece of wood to about 8 inches. So I'm going to run out to my saw and do that, and then I'll be back. While I was out in the shed cutting that wood and my dowel, I decided to go ahead and drill the holes that I need just to leave more of the mess outside. Now my dowel is 5 inches long, and I drilled 2 little holes, half an inch in on either side. So then what I did is I took my piece of wood and marked it off, and I drilled those same dimension holes into the end of my wood. To show that to you. And then you'll see on the back here, can you see that there? I drilled it in a little bit further so that I've got that hole in there, so that my bolts have kind of a round head on them, and I don't want that to stick out. So when I stick that through like that, and then I'm going to put this on it like that, and then that way the back, you can see it'll sit nice and flat. And then I also stuck my this third drill hole was an error, so ignore that. I stuck my magnets onto there as well, as you happen to have access to a lot of aluminum. So I just cut 3-inch strips of aluminum, and I cut 2 of them, and I just drilled holes into the end of those, and I only went 1/4 of an inch from either end on that. Now if you don't have access to the aluminum, my second thought was and this would work brilliantly, blah, 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 blah. Tell ya. But this serrated edge on, this is off my tin foil or cling wrap, whatever you buy, keep that serrated edge right there, and you can just take that off, and it already has holes in it. So you could just cut 2 3-inch pieces of that, which would probably work even better than my aluminum. But since I already went to all the trouble to cut the aluminum, I'm going to go ahead and use it. Now, I did give this one coat of black paint. I seem to always like to start with the black canvas. Not exactly sure why, because I definitely could have just painted this white and distressed it with black paint, but I didn't. I gave it one coat of the Folk Art Home Decor black chalk paint, and yes, then I gave it one coat of the polyacrylic finish. And so now I'm going to give it a coat of white chalk paint, possibly 2, and then I'll distress it and we'll put it together. That's just how easy this project is. 2 coats of the white chalk paint, which is not surprising. So now I'm going to wet distress it, and you could use sandpaper, or if you would prefer, you could just paint it white and then distress it with the black paint. I choose to do it this way. That's what it looks like. I screwed in some holes where I want the hangers, the holders to be. So it's going to be there and up top. But I am going to put a little bit of that bind transfer on here as well. I just think be a little something something. Be cute. I'm going to put these stencils on here. I'm going to just do a little bit on, just on the side where the pen will be, I think. I think that would look kind of nice. I mean, if I had made it taller, which might be a good idea if you're going to make one, you could put like grocery list on it or notes, whatever you would want to write. But I think I'm just going to do some transfers. Okay, so when you're happy with what you've got, and I love it, then remember to always coat it again with a couple coats of polyacrylic. Now with 2 coats of polyacrylic on it, I'm ready to put it all together. Now, I have these long bolts, and there was no real rhyme or reason to me getting these bolts, except that that's the size that I found in my husband's tool, or his little storage, bolt storage place. So, my roll of paper is 2.5 inches. So of course I have to, that's why I made my dowel 5 inches so that I could fit this through here, and I have 3-inch bolts so that I can put the bolts through. And then I'm going to put a nut on this, and I'll tighten this up. This bolts all the way to the bottom so that this won't move. Same on the other side. I've got my little clip, and you can get those at like probably in the dollar store, Staples, wherever. I don't even know where I got this one because I've had it for a long time. And then, where did I drill that little hole? I drilled starter holes for the screws that I do have to put in, just because I didn't want it to crack or to rip my stencil. I'm gonna put my aluminum in, but you know what, the more I think about it, the more I think that it would be a better idea to use that edging that I showed you that's on your tinfoil ones. I'm not tightening right flat, I'm just going to leave it a little loose so that I can put the paper in there. Actually, this would be a great Mother's Day gift. I might make one for my mom and my daughter. You can see what I've done there. I've just screwed this through the hole that was already there. I just put a little screw in there so it can open, and that will hold a pen. I've got another bolt because I want to stop my, I'm going to put it down the width of my paper. This is 1.5 inches. Put on my dowel. I have a wing nut that I put on top. That second nut in there, it just kind of stabilizes the dowel. You just have to weed your paper through. Oh, I love it. And then you can just stick it right up on your fridge. You've always got a pencil handy. There we go. So you can just write your groceries. If you have a pencil, that works. And then you can put your pencil back. And you've always got a great place for a list. And when it's done, rip it off, take it with you, and go get your groceries. I think it's brilliant. I mean, it's not my original idea. I wish I could take credit for it, but I've seen these type of things before. I do think it's brilliant. So, I'm going to go and put this on my fridge. Not a whole lot to display, really. It's just this. So, that's going to be about it. So, that's a wrap. That's right. So, I'd like to thank you all for hanging out with me while I make my grocery list pad holder, whatever it is, fridge magnet. I'm not exactly sure, as I'm watching BB chew up a piece of paper, making a horrendous mess that I'm going to have to go and clean up. So, I'm going to run, and I'll be back next week with another video. So until then, go out and love and nurture everyone and everything in your part of the world. Till next time.